We haven't actually talked about you being on tour yet.
Well, we haven't toured.
What do you mean you haven't toured?
We hadn't
You
toured,
just
and
came back from a sold out South American
that's what I
tour.
mean. Like our previous
Yeah.
interview really hadn't done a tour in quite some time
Oh,
because
yeah.
that was like around COVID, right? Like last time
Yeah.
we did it.
For me, it was crazy just seeing the footage online. I mean, the fires and the mosh pits, it was just like the energy was wild.
We didn't expect it either.
Really?
No, how do you expect? Look, I take it we're doing the interview now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, and I just look at us as kind of four nerds, you know, like each of us in the band has our own little quirky, nerdy personality, and then you go out there and together it's like Voltron, you know, we come together and it's something else. It's not something that you could anticipate, and we have no idea that any of that stuff's going to happen. How could we?
So was it different from previous tours?
Yeah, I think something has happened that I can't really explain to System, right? Like it sort of started with the Sick New World show that we did. You know,
And you guys organized that, right?
we're part owners of the festival.
Oh, cool.
You know, wherever it ends up being, or however many of them there are. Kind of like Lollapalooza is owned by Perry Farrell. You
I
know,
didn't know that.
well, he was. I think he sold it a while ago.
Okay.
I'm not really. I don't know exacts, so
Yeah.
you have to look into it. But I know that he helped to bring it to light, seeing European festivals and how they work, and he was like, "Well, we should do that here," you know. And then because of that, you had festivals like Coachella come about, and the idea was brought to us by a very good promoter and Live Nation, and said, "Look, we're interested in putting something like this together." And I was like, well, you know, Vegas is a tough market to do it in. Are you sure you want to do it in Vegas? Because I know that there have been other festivals that try to, you know, for the rock and metal scene, try to do it in Vegas, and they failed pretty miserably, you know. So, you know, initially I was like, okay, well, let's see what it looks like. And then they kind of made their presentation, and we said, okay, let's look into it more. And then as it went along, they offered us ownership of it and everything else. So we're kind of like we own it, but we don't own it. It's a whole contract that I can't get into or wouldn't want to get into because it's boring. But we are like profit shares in it.
So does
But it's only happened with us performing on it so far. And then one time we weren't performing on it, we had to cancel it.
because tickets didn't sell.
I don't know why.
I said it, not you.
I didn't agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, but so why Vegas specifically?
I have no idea.
Huh.
They wanted to do it in Vegas. They have the site. I think they do another festival there that's more like pop punk, you know, oriented. And they're like, we've got the festival grounds, we've got the stages, we've got everything else. Maybe we can do something that's a little more metal, a little more progressive, you know, kind of at the same time. So it makes sense from their perspective because they've got to spend all this money to set it up. Why not do two instead of one?
Mm.
But I'll tell you, you know, like everything else with System, it was not easy to get everybody to agree to do it in the first place, you know. And you know, once we got everybody to agree, then it was like, okay, how do we sell 65,000 tickets in Las Vegas? How do we do that?
65,000.
65,000.
It's like imagining 65,000 humans in one. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people. You know, it's a humbling amount of people when
Yeah.
you're looking at it. But I will say that the promoters did an amazing job with it. They really put together an incredible group of bands, which helps, right? And I don't know. Since that show, System also showed that we could headline a festival and sell that many tickets, right? Which was probably something we could have done previous to those, you know, couple of shows that we put together. But that really solidified our place as a worldwide headliner. And then after that, it's been on fire. System has gotten progressively bigger since the first Sick New World show.
That's
And
crazy.
really, there's no explanation of why.
Wow. I mean, that is so the opposite of what you predict, like the trajectory of a career could be like for any musician, right? You would think that, like, after not performing for such a long amount of time and not putting out new music, that, okay, you'll keep like your hardcore fan base, but you don't expect that it's going to significantly grow to
We
that
talk about Ringo
scale.
Starr a lot,
Yeah.
right? Do the Beatles have more fans today, or did they have more fans in 1971?
I hear you making that reference a lot with the Beatles since they were only
Because they had a
around.
very short career.
Yeah, but
10-year
such a
career.
huge.
They made a
Yeah.
lot of music in the 10 years,
Yeah.
but they had a very short run. Same with Zeppelin, really. They had a very short run, but they made such an impact that it kind of transcended their careers, right? Like the Beatles are bigger than the career of the individual members of the Beatles. In a lot of ways, it has transcended the band, right?
Yeah.
Like the name of the Beatles is synonymous with great music worldwide. Like I don't know anybody that isn't aware of the Beatles. You may not have heard the music, but you're aware of the name, the
Oh, yeah.
Beatles. You
Yeah.
know? So System is not the Beatles, but we are System, right? We are our own thing. And if you think about it, we've also had a career for almost 30 years. And yes, we've done a lot of things wrong. You know, we haven't made a record since 2005. We barely tour. We've had some very public infighting, some negative things that have happened. But we did a few things right. And those few things right that we did, for example, we made albums that we didn't compromise anything to make, right? Like we made the albums we wanted to make. We had massive pop hits for a band that shouldn't be like a
pop.
very underground band.
Yeah.
We are a very big pop band, and these songs have impacted people's lives, right? And what it's done is it's become generational now. So when we say, okay, we haven't made an album since 2005, yes, but the albums that we did make, between 1998 and 1997 and 2005, people are handing it down through the generations. So now you're having like fathers bring their kids and uncles and aunts bring their nephews and nieces to the shows. So there's kids that are 5 years old at some of these shows. So it's not just the generation that we were speaking to when we came out. We're speaking to 3 or 4 generations now. Because in my opinion, every 5 years is a completely different generation. Because the 10-year-old becomes a 15-year-old and they have their own ideas, and they don't necessarily want to have the ideas of the 20-year-old now. They want their own. So there's a different generation of kids that are learning about System, and they want to see us live, and we don't tour. So it's the small funnel going into, that is bringing in the large group of people, and there's only so much room. So I guess in that way, it's been advantageous that we haven't really worked very much. And we never made bad albums, in my opinion. Some people think all our albums are bad. I don't agree, but, screw them.
Can't imagine that. I think your music's completely revolutionary. And that's really the cool thing about not being a trendy band and not following any of the norms, because it's timeless. You can't put a time on System of a Down.
Yeah, and it's also hard to replicate System. Whereas a lot of other bands, they have their kind of carbon copies that have become successful. It's harder to do that with System because of our heritage, right? And because of the many influences that have gone into our soup that we've put together, or our ethos. Like, how are you going to replicate that?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
You can't. And all of you individually are so specific to...
And very different people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is just the perfect combination.
Or the imperfect combination that is combustible.
Okay, but so are each of you just tripping out? What's happening? Like when you're seeing the reaction and you're seeing the masses, are you kind of going, whoa?
It is. But you got to be careful, right? You can't get high off your own supply, as they say. So you have to maintain a grounded mindset.
You have to enjoy it too.
We enjoy it.
Yeah.
If when I'm on the stage, it's different than I'm watching the perspectives of videos taken from our fans. when I see the videos taken from our fans, I forget that it's me up there, and I'm a little bit awed by it, because it
Yeah.
is quite a spectacle and it's very powerful. We're a very powerful live band, and the credit to our production team. Our light show looks better than ever. We don't really do pyrotechnics and stuff, but the fans have taken care of that for us, so to speak. But from the perspective of the fans, I look at it and it's pretty incredible. So I have to also remember, I get home, I pick up the kids, I take them to school, this, that. It's back to normal. Diana says, take the trash out. I take the trash out. I do my domestic chores and responsibilities. And, my wife is very good at keeping me grounded, and I feel like I am anyway, but it's fun to say that, your wife keeps you grounded and all that stuff.
But it's true.
To a certain extent, I would be anyway, but she helps.
Yeah.
I don't get out of control with the rock star stuff, but sometimes I'll be like, I was just on tour and I come home. Can I have a couple of days still of being a rock star? And she goes, no, you're home. Rock star's over.
I feel like Diana really brings out the best in you, though, because she's such a loyal backbone kind of a girl, and she's so grounded herself. She has all of the right values in life, so I feel like
That's why I married her.
Yeah.
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 I didn't marry her because she didn't have these qualities.
Well, I'm just telling you why she's one of my best
Well,
friends,
thank you.
not why you married her.
I appreciate it. It took me a long time to get married,
Yeah.
and I feel like sometimes you do things because you haven't met the right person to marry, right? Like you have a certain lifestyle because of that.
For sure.
But with her, for me, the reason to get married is to have a family. Otherwise, there's no purpose to it. You can date somebody for 30 years and have a great relationship. You don't have to marry them, right? If that's your purpose. But if you're going to have kids, I feel like it's important to give them that traditional lifestyle of a mother, a father, a home, the love that goes into it, the discipline that goes into it. We have the perfect relationship in this way. She is way more of a disciplinarian, which means I get to be kind of the softer sucker, so to speak, for my kids. So pretty much whatever they ask for, I say yes.
I'm familiar with that dynamic. It's
Right.
not fair.
I mean,
but okay.
there are limits.
Yeah.
I try to say yes as much as possible. I saw something on Instagram that was try to say yes all the time. But okay, my kid says, hey, can I get frozen yogurt? You can't have frozen yogurt all the time. So I say, yes, you can have frozen yogurt Friday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they still get what they want and they don't have to ask anymore. But I don't like the negative
No,
reinforcement of no,
Shutting
no.
them down all the time. Yeah.
And it's okay, well, you have no voice, right? I want them to hear yes, 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 yes. But you have to pay a price for that yes. You have to make an effort of self-control until Friday to get that frozen yogurt. Whereas my wife will just be like, no. Her first reaction to everything is no, and then you can talk her into a yes, as far as the kids are concerned. So they get both, which is kind of important. You can't have two people that are spenders in a relationship. You can't have two people that like to drink all the time. You got to have balance, right? And I think we balance each other out quite well.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think the fact that she's not a yes person, it works with you too. That she's not about fluffing anyone's feathers. She's just very real.
She's very straightforward.
She's very straightforward, yeah.
Sometimes that can come off as negative.
Okay, but you're very straightforward too.
I am, but I try to be sensitive of people's feelings.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Do you remember how you told me that I was huge while I was pregnant? It was so funny. I was literally
Because you were having
remembering
a
it.
boy.
No, I was having a girl the second time around.
Usually it's the boy that makes you huge. It's oblong.
I was huge both pregnancies.
Were you?
I was yeah.
But you're a small girl,
yeah.
so any
but
10
it was just
pounds
so
of
funny.
weight
I
is going
think
to
I
make
was
you look
6
bigger.
months pregnant, and you were like, "Whoa, you're huge." I was like, "Thanks, John. Thanks." Like if that's not insensitive, then
Well, would you like me to do what everybody else does? Oh no, you're perfect. You're beautiful. You are beautiful and perfect, but you're also huge at that time. Not a negative way. You're pregnant.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
What's my excuse?
Shut up. Okay, no, but back to system, back to the music. So like there has to be a point where you're like addressing it with a band, where you're like, okay, this is pretty crazy. Like, is everyone equally
No, no,
excited or
we don't get
no?
into those conversations.
No way.
No, we don't get into, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, it's just it
But it
defeats
was
the.
remarkable. Like
It is
it's
remarkable, and we're proud of it, right? It's I guess the conversations that we have are more about like, I'm so proud of what we've achieved, right? As opposed to talking about the achievement, it's the pride in getting there. It's in the pride of what we've accomplished together, you know, as opposed to, it's not the point of what it is, it's the point that we did it together.
yeah.
Because it wasn't always that way, there were several decades where we were kind of adversarial in a lot of our thought processes.
What do you mean?
Well, we haven't made an album since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't toured very much. There's reasons for that. And I don't like getting into the internal politics of the band because I don't feel like, just like I'll talk about the positives with my wife. The negatives are no one's business, And it's the same with my band. But with a lot of conversations, I would say that I had to change my philosophy on how I got people to agree to do things, because I am straightforward in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I realize that just because I think something is the right thing to do, that doesn't automatically make it so that somebody else has to think that way.
Yeah.
So I changed my philosophy. And when I did that, I started to get yeses a lot more from my band members.
So what did you do differently?
Well, I stopped asking them to do things, for one thing. But if it was important, I would explain why I thought it was important, and I would ask them why they thought it wasn't. So getting their opinion more, caring about their opinion more, actually caring about it.
Mm-hmm.
For us to tour in South America,
Mm-hmm.
I started planning that tour 3 years ago.
No.
Yeah. So right now, I'm planning 2028. So 2026, 27 have already been planned. Now, when I say I'm planning it, there's a strategy that the band has agreed to,
Mm-hmm.
and they have entrusted me with spearheading it. So which makes me feel really good because I love doing it. And it's like I can envision the tours and all these different things, and they're allowing me to do what I'm good at, right? Aside from playing drums for the band. So with the European tour, Darren, whose fiance has family in Sweden, was like, hey, we haven't played Sweden in a long time. It'd be nice if we could play there because my fiance's family is there. And I was like, okay, let's look into it, right? It wasn't a part of the plan, and we changed things around and made it so that would happen.
So then how exactly are you doing that? Are you talking to different promoters or like how do you even go about planning a tour?
Promoter's a big part of it. Of course, my manager and I, we speak 2 or 3 times a day, every single day, strategizing, right?
Who is
Because
your manager? Is it Benno?
Bino, yeah.
Bino.
Yeah,
Okay.
Velvet Hammer
Yeah.
Management.
Okay.
So, because System is playing these larger venues, there are very few of the larger venues. And you have to understand that there's usually some kind of sports team playing those venues. Then there's pop acts playing those venues. There's rap acts. There's other very big rock bands. So I try to get like 2 years ahead on the planning stages,
Oh.
on a minimum, just so we can get the venues that we want. Again, we're only touring for a short period of time, So if we're going to do 10 shows, 9 shows, it's really got to be coordinated in like almost a military campaign. So when it was important for Darren to play that show, the band was like, of course, right? And that's the thing. Going back to saying yes. Okay, yes, but how?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And same thing happened in South America. Originally, it just wasn't going to be cost effective to play Argentina.
Hmm.
Their economy is really bad. and we had some issues with the promoter, and it wasn't going to happen. And then I was like, it's really important to me that we play Argentina. First of all, we have a lot of fans there. We haven't been there in a decade or more. So we're like, okay, let's just say yes and figure it out. And we did. And that's the thing, is when you're working towards making everybody in the band happy in these small ways, then that they feel better because they're heard, right? And that leads to more positive time. We had more dinners on this South American tour as a band on that 3-week run than we have in the last 30 years of being a band.
Wow. That
To the point where I was planning the first couple because I wanted the camaraderie. And then they were like, hey, when are we going to get they were saying, let's go, what are you guys doing tonight? We played a show, let's go eat real quick, together. And we still had time apart too, because it gets irritating if you're around each other too much. But it was just very different, and we've changed. Maybe we've grown up and realized like the things we're getting upset about just aren't that important.
Yeah.
Or maybe we've figured out like this is our band and we're successful together, and let's cultivate that as opposed to trying to destroy it. Or I don't care if I ever do anything successfully outside of system. As long as I can be successful in system, I'm very satisfied. And maybe the other guys are kind of coming around to that too.
So the last time that we talked about system together on air, you basically said if the band would just listen to me, they would do this, this, and that. So right now, what's that version of it this year? That now, if you could have things your way, what would happen exactly?
Everything that's happening is because I'm being given the trust from the band to do what's best for the band in the field that I do in it, right? So I try to give respect to everybody in the band to do what they do well. For example, you're never going to come see a system show where I've written a set list. Darren writes a set list.
Okay.
So he knows what keys the songs are in, what goes, and he'll sit there and research. I think it takes him like 2 or 3 months to put together a set list.
No way.
Yeah, because he'll sit there, he'll go over all the set lists that we've ever done to try to make them a little different. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put all the hits on it and some songs that I want to play selfishly. So, but he's thinking of like, okay, what have the audiences heard? What have they heard the last time we were in these particular regions? What are they going to want to hear? What are the fans kind of, and also things change, right? A song like Forest, which was like a B-side for me, has become a very popular song among the fans. A-E-I-O-U is a massive, massive song now. It's a song that I didn't care was on the album or not. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not the best judge of what songs to put on. Shavol's also very good at that, And, between the four of us, we're all very good at different things. I happen to be very good at this part of it. And I've got the trust of the band to do it. So like a lot of the business is not done completely by me because I value their opinions on everything, and I ask questions. Like, what do you think of this? Where would you want to play? Where don't you want to play? Just making them a part of the process and then when we're out there, we have a really good relationship with a new promoter called 30E that I think we're going to be doing a lot more business with. And of course, a long-time relationship with Live Nation. And I feel like they also know how to keep us happy on the road. Still, they're pushing more shows. And I'm like, look, we're not doing 2 in a row unless we have to do it. It's hard on the band, right? And I want everybody to enjoy some time off. You can't consider, there's things we have to look into now that we didn't care about before. For example, a travel day is kind of a stressful day. So we don't look at that as a rest day anymore. We need a travel day and a rest day, then the show day. And then that has to repeat, And then sometimes you have 2 days off. So maybe we can do an excursion with the band or I can do a signing or something like that or whatever, You can go sightseeing maybe. And it enables the band to have a little more pleasure on the road. But I also know the sweet spot is around 9 or 10 shows. If you do 12, it's too many. If you do less, we make no money. So like 9 to 10 is exactly where I want to be.
Yeah. And then it just keeps the morale in a place where like you don't have to be stressed out, and it makes the whole thing just pleasant.
Better to go home wanting, oh, I wish we'd done 1 or 2 more shows,
Yeah.
rather than I wish we'd done 1 or 2 less.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And I would say that the last show on the South American tour was our most explosive because we knew we didn't have any more, so we could give it all, you know?
Was that Brazil, the last one?
It was, yeah, Sao Paulo.
Yeah. My God. I've seriously never seen anything like it. The energy was insane.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
That was pretty cool. So, is a part of your strategy now finally a new album?
Well, before I had closed the door on that, you know, a lot of that was also my anger and bitterness, you know, and it kind of oozed out of me in the last interview we did, which I realized, and subsequently it oozed out a couple more times. I'm happier now because, look, I'm a simple person. If the people around me are happy, I'm happy. But I mirror the feelings of other people. Maybe it's the cancer kind of thing, you know, emotionally. I'm just a mirror to whatever the other person is.
Yeah, we're reactive personalities.
Correct.
For sure.
So when everybody's happy around us, we're ecstatic. And we want everybody happy, right? So now that the band is happy, knock on wood, whatever this is.
It's so funny that's
Yeah.
happened again. Yeah.
That's not wood.
Yeah.
It's easier to get stuff done because it's like, okay, well, it's all positive. And if somebody really doesn't want something, I'll be like, okay. You know?
But I do feel like everyone wants it. Everyone's just trying to find
Everyone
the way
wants it
to it.
based on what we're doing now. The shows are massive. We're getting paid very well. And we can do, you know, an amount of shows per year, whatever that number is. And then it's always looking forward to it as opposed to, oh, it's a hassle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, are you actually taking steps toward making that happen?
Making
The
what
album.
happen?
New album.
No.
No.
No, I don't make steps to make things happen anymore. If it happens, it has to be someone else's idea. Because I come off a little too aggressive and too excited about stuff,
Yeah.
you know? And that doesn't tend to help. And I also don't think we should make an album unless everybody's 100% interested in making the album. I'm not sure I'm 100% interested.
Yes, you are.
I'm not
You totally
necessarily,
are.
because I like where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And I don't like where we were at in 2006. And that was right after an album. I don't want to go back to that place.
It was after the album?
Yes.
So why after? Because isn't technically the process more difficult than when it's finally done?
The ill feelings come after it's made.
The resentment toward
Yes.
some of the process.
Whatever it was that pissed you off, during it you have no, it's like being pissed off after a show as opposed to during. During, I don't have time to be angry about something. I have to play the next song. Whereas afterwards, now I'm sitting in the dressing room. Now I can think about the things I'm upset about, and then it festers, you know?
Did you guys ever try that band therapy thing that you told
No.
me about during the last interview?
No, we're not Metallica.
Yeah. But I thought that was such a cool idea, seriously.
Yeah, well, it's tougher with Armenians, I think.
Yeah. We're just innately against any intervention of any sort, you think? Or
I think that in general, we can be stubborn people. You know, there's positives and negatives to everything, and we have a lot of positives as Armenians. We're very determined people, but we're also very stubborn, and it's hard to get 4 of us to agree on anything. You know?
when we were talking about a new album with Serge when he was here, he talked about his kind of egalitarian approach to getting a new album made, and that you and I think maybe the rest of the band shut it down as like, you're not going to dictate the terms.
He came at it meaning good, you know? He wanted equality. But I don't look at equality as being as important as making the best album that we can make. And you're also talking to somebody that doesn't write songs. So for me, every song that comes in is a blank canvas for me to explore. Mm-hmm. And I get my artistry out that way. And I kind of wish everybody had that same philosophy. The best songs for me should be on the album. Mm-hmm. Now, who determines that?
Yeah,
we do.
So yeah, but it's subjective, right?
It is, but there's always like kind of an agreement. Now, I do believe Serge is a much better songwriter now, you know, but he's always had 2 or 3 really great songs that make the albums, you know. I just feel like, and I think if you asked him, he would agree that maybe doing that hard line was just too much. It's like, it's too much to put on someone else to say it's either this way or no way. It doesn't give them pride in themselves, you know? Whereas if you would have said, look, I'm not happy with the way we've done it in the past. Here's how I'd like to do it. What are your thoughts? Well, now it's an equal footing position where you can have a debate about it, and the other person can be like, wow, okay, maybe I need to be more aware of the way you're thinking, you know, and then you can meet in the middle, you know. But what kind of a person, if you demand something of them, how are they going to sleep at night if they just say yes to everything you say and give you complete power over them? Nobody's going to do that. Just like with Serge, we can't be like, Serge, you're going to tour. That's what we want. What about what he wants? If you're not considering what everybody wants, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like even in relationships, you know, you're basically like, hey, this is what I need in order to be happy. And it's not that you're trying to give somebody an ultimatum, but it's that you're like, okay, these are, excuse me, you're saying these are my needs. And then you want the person to give their feedback. But it's like if everybody is, that's where I guess the therapy thing would be cool because it's really just a matter of communication.
Communication is the important part, but also listening.
Yeah.
You know, like if you listen to somebody, they're always going to tell you what they want. Just listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, he said what he wants. Darren said what he wants.
But they didn't listen to each other's wants. They were just expressing. As soon as you say to somebody, I want this, they are defensive. Because what are they willing to give, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas opposed to maybe ask somebody, what would you like?
Well,
I told Darren the secret sauce of how to get an album done.
What is the secret sauce?
Bring your songs in last.
Okay, tell me how that works.
Well, traditionally, when we go in to record, Darren would bring his songs in because he'd have a lot of them. They were very well thought out. They were the most complete.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would do if I was Darren, if I was giving Darren advice, which I've actually given him this advice, and I said, why don't you just tell Serge, bring your songs in first. We'll go through all your ideas. And then, Chavo, you bring in all your ideas. And then, Darren, you bring in your ideas last. What's the difference? But that olive branch says, I care about your songs just as more than I care about my own. And I'm going to have you bring in yours first. Now, most of Darren's songs are going to end up on the album. He's the best songwriter I've ever seen in my life, you know? And Serge is a prolific lyricist. And believe it or not, many of the songs you like most in System first came from Chavo. So they're all...
The idea?
The riffs, the movements originated with Chavo.
Oh,
so we got a lot of strength there that if we just allow everyone to have their time and not like at the last part, we already got 30 songs, bring in your 5, and it's the last thing we do. Well, that belittles that person's contribution. And then they feel that way after the fact. That's why I'm saying it's after the fact that the ill feelings come into play. And that would be my suggestion. You know, just bring yours last. Yours are going to be great.
What's an example of a song where Shav did the riffs before?
Toxicity.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of not a mess, but it was like fragmented, right? And Darren actually took that home for like 2 months and then placed it with another song that he had and then brought it in with the arrangement more complete, right? And then I added the drums and then Serge came in with, you know, and then it's like piece by piece it got built up. But the genesis of it was Chavo's part. Without Chavo's part, none of the other stuff happens. And he did that many times. You know, like, I mean, look, everybody brings their little piece to the band, you know, like into the music. But live, it's a fucking monster live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you guys put out a specific album that was like half Serge's
No.
songs, half
See,
Darren's songs?
again,
And it's divided in that way, where it's just like an
I
equal
don't want to be in a
number of
divided
songs.
band.
No, no,
I
no.
don't want to make divided music.
No, not divided music. It would just be that these are, let's say, the 7 songs that Serge writes.
Okay.
These are the 7
But
that
what?
Darren.
But what if?
And you guys
What if
give
Serge
your
wrote
best.
12 great songs, and they were better than the ones
Save
Darren
it for
wrote?
the next album, just for the sake of
So make a mediocre
fairness.
album that's not our best to placate people. That sounds like
Not to placate people.
it kind of is though, right? Like what you're saying is that sounds like DEI to me. If it's not the best, then why are we using it?
Well, because the best is different for each person, you know.
But
that
we're the
could-
ones that decide what the best is for
Who-
that album.
All 4 of you.
And our producer, who's Rick Rubin, and our manager
Yeah.
chimes in. But we're almost always all okay. So what we would do is, for example, with Toxicity, we all had a list of 44 songs that we recorded, and we all put the ones that we wanted to be on the album. I'd say 80% of it we all agreed on. So it's the last 4 songs really that are up for debate, right? So if that's the case, who cares who wrote it?
Okay, new solution. How about you guys actually make all the songs that everyone wants to make, and then you let Rick Rubin, without, like, he doesn't know who wrote which song. You just let him pick the best.
We can't do that. We can't do that. The responsibility to make that album is ours.
Okay, anonymous votes in the band.
The what?
Anonymous votes in the band for
Cares
which
if it's
songs to
anonymous?
make it.
No, we want to have debate.
Just to not
Inner
offend
Vision.
anyone.
You know the song Inner Vision?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite System songs.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go on Toxicity. That was a 2-week argument that I had with my band.
No way.
Yeah. In the end, I lost.
Hmm.
We put Shimmy on there, I think. I think it was Shimmy. Or, not Shimmy. What the hell's the song called? We were playing it all this tour, and it was fantastic live. I can't remember.
When it comes to you. We'll
When it
put
comes to
in.
me.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, as like just a huge fan, outside of the fact that I just really love all of you guys individually, just as an outside fan, I'm like trying to find some sort of a
Streamline.
compromise.
Streamline. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, Streamline, a song that we really didn't enjoy. We haven't played it since Download in England. I don't remember what year that was. 2011 maybe. And was the one that I wanted not on the album for Toxicity. I wanted Inner Vision on there. Now, one of my favorite songs. Can't wait to play that live. It's like it needed that amount of time to get its flavor for me and maybe for the rest of the band too.
So who wrote that song?
Serge.
Okay.
See, what I'm saying is there's bangers that he's written, right? But I don't think that philosophically we looked at Serge as a songwriter. We looked at him as a lyricist. And maybe it took a long time. Maybe his solo career had to happen in order for us to accept that. Now, I'm going to tell you, there are songs from Serge's solo career that should have been System songs. They're incredible songs. And then I listened to it and I'm like, if that was us, the 4 of us playing on it, it would be so much better, you know? And there were like parts, I was like, man, if you just change that part. And the same with Darren. Now keep in mind, I've played on everybody's albums, right? Played on Serge's solo, Darren's solo, Chavo, I played on his album. So I know a lot of those songs should have been System songs.
Mm-hmm.
But because we weren't active, they needed an outlet for those songs. I don't know. I don't believe everything has to happen for a reason. I believe sometimes you allow things to happen that shouldn't have happened, and then you realize you shouldn't have let it go that way, and you come back to where you should have been in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's your process or whatever the hell it is. That's the road you took.
Yeah. And everyone kind of had to evolve in their own ways to then maybe find.
Why? Why couldn't we have evolved together and just kept making records, and each record would have been an evolution, and we could have still done things with other people that would have, enhanced our abilities with each other. But can you imagine having 3 or 4 more System albums? I could.
Oh, yeah.
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 I probably would have been a lot better on the drums because I stopped playing drums for a long time because when I sat down on a drum set, all I could think of was the failures of System's career. So it made me not like playing drums, which is partly why I started writing.
Writing how?
Writing my stories,
Yeah. Oh,
comic
okay.
books, and everything
Oh,
else.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's when you started writing.
It's when, like 7 years ago, I just needed the creative outlet. And I had done creative writing as a kid, so I just went back to that.
So how long did you stop playing drums for?
I almost never play drums. I usually only play when we're rehearsing or stuff like that.
Does it take a minute to get back into
You could
the...
say that, yeah.
How much time do you need usually to prepare for a tour?
Well, I'll about a month before I'll start doing some rehearsals at home, like 20 minutes, and then I get bored. 30 minutes, then I get bored. Kids want to go swimming, and I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
We'll rehearse 4 to 6 times, and then we're a machine again. And by the second show on a tour, forget it. We're at 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, in regards to your question of like, why did you need to evolve in your own ways and then come back together later? I think maybe the answer to that is when a certain dynamic is set in the beginning. Like you don't, for example, you only see Serge as a lyricist at that time. You don't see him as a songwriter. Until people actually accomplish things on their own, sometimes they don't really get the kind of credit or respect that they deserve.
Is that important? Or is it important that we make great albums and make history together? What's more important? Because to me, that's ego-driven as opposed to, the team. Like the whole idea of a team or a band, right? Like the word band, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's a group of people that serve a higher purpose than their individual reasons for doing something, right? Like our higher purpose in System is to make System records. So anything outside of that, to me, takes away from that, right?
So then what would your suggestion be for all of
My
it?
suggestion would be we go back to 2005, we get our heads out of our ass, and we realize that System is our destiny, and we put every effort into making music for System of a Down. And that means you got to play with 50 other people to just get like a little flavor of something and then bring that back to System. Then you do that. But every 3 years, 4 years, we get together, we make a System album.
So right now, the way things are today, if you could have things your way, like egos aside,
You mean in every
personalities,
aspect of it?
in every aspect,
Okay.
if you can have things your way now, what would you want to see happen?
We would do the tours that we already have planned, which we're going to. And then in 2027, we would block off 6 months. We would go into either Darren's house, my house, or Serge's house, or Shava's house in a studio that we have in one of those houses, which we all have our spaces. And we would work on a System album with no rules. And I would say, Serge, bring in all your songs first. Then Shav will bring in all your riffs and songs next. And then Darren bring all yours last. And I'll put absolutely no limit on how many songs you can bring in or timeline of how long that's going to take. And then we would go in and make a new record.
So what is it like when you guys bring songs in? Is it like just the maybe basic melody is there and then everyone contributes their parts?
Depends on who's bringing it in.
So in each scenario with Shavo, we kind of talked about that.
Usually,
He brings in the riffs.
Now, keep in mind, this is 2004, right? Shavo today is different because he's a better songwriter now. Back then, he was a really good riff writer, interesting, cool riffs, some of the best of System. Now they're more complete, right? With Serge, you'll have more lyrical content, and with Darren, generally speaking, you'll have more melody. So it just depends on who's bringing it in. Darren is the most complete, right? Like you don't have to make as many changes at the end of it with Darren.
When you say most complete, what does that mean? Like the...
Like the song's pretty complete.
Okay.
Arrangement-wise. Melody-wise, it's complete. Not lyrics. He leaves room for lyrics because that's what Serge's like strength is, right? So he leaves a lot of space for that. But most of the melodies and everything else, they're already there.
And then when it comes to your drumming, is it just how you're feeling the song that you decide?
Again, I have very limited time to come up with my drum parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, sometimes the guys will have suggestions. I really like to just listen to it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if Darren's bringing in a song, I would just have him play the song 2 or 3 times. And while he's playing it, I would start formulating the drums in my head, not playing it, thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll come up with some basic stuff. Hopefully, it's something interesting and new. Otherwise, I get very bummed out, because I don't want to just keep repeating the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you're not going to do the same beats. It's just how that you incorporate those beats, the space between the melody and the syncopation of the vocals. There's all these things to be taken into consideration, but it's kind of like so natural. It's much easier than it sounds for me to do.
Mm.
Like it sounds very difficult, but I'm wired to do that, so it's like fairly simple. And then over the course of the next couple of weeks, maybe I'll try different things here and there, but you'll build it, and then once the producer comes in, he might make some suggestions. And then when you go in the studio, the things you thought were working, maybe they don't work quite as much, so you'll adjust.
Once you're recorded and you listen to it?
While I'm recording it,
Mm-hmm.
it's being in a microscope,
Mm-hmm.
so then I'll be like, oh shit, maybe that's taking away from, or the vocals have changed, so you have to think about what you're doing as a drummer. What does it impede, or what does it have to hide?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or shit, it's getting a little long, this part. So, for example, a song like Chop Suey. The second time the chorus comes in, it's like that straight ride part.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to it halfway through, I change the beat on the kick. Maybe it's not that noticeable, but it's different enough to where it's like a reset. You can listen to it double that part because it's different enough where you feel like you're hearing something new, even though pretty much everything else is doing the same thing.
So do you just intuitively feel that and you decide that this
Yeah,
is where I'm going to change
exactly.
it
It's not something that I have to think about too much. It just kind of happens.
up? Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a lot of it is the different kind of music that I've listened to in my life, but it's also just the way my mind is wired.
Yeah.
Like I can see it, envision it, and hear it before it's actually a reality.
That's a part of what revolutionized music with System of a Down, and a part of the magic of System that nobody was really doing that before. Like that you don't the transitions where you're not just like stuck in one place for a long period of time. It's constantly changing and you're constantly catching up to the music. And I think it's that unpredictable factor that makes music so moving. And like when a melody's predictable, it doesn't really do anything to you. So I think what really transforms you is when you actually don't expect what's coming, and then it's like amazing, and then another one and another one, and it's like you keep doubling down on the unpredictable.
Who would have expected Chop Suey to be a pop song? There's a blast beat in it. There's music, drum music in there that doesn't fit like the narrative of a pop song, right? Now, of course, the melody of the song is pop and all that, but generally speaking, you don't get Taylor Swift with blast beats, it just doesn't happen. So what we're doing in System together is we're taking things that are fringe or underground and popularizing them. We're packaging them with incredible melodies.
Mm-hmm.
And that transcends what you would think of as normal and what you would be comfortable with listening to in your normal setting. Now, I remember when BYOB was being played on Power 106, right? Is it Power 106, right? The
no,
rap.
Kara. Oh, what?
Power,
it was?
105.9?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, Power 106.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was being played on Power.
They used to play BYOB. Now, for those who don't know, that's a radio station. That was a very big radio station at that time that played rap and R&B. And they were playing System. Why? Because System was so undeniable that you were forced to play it.
Wow. I had no idea that it was on Power too. That's pretty amazing.
No one was more shocked than me that we were
That
being
is
played on that
shocking,
station.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's part of the thing. Like, it's the enigma of System of a Down. You know, like, but again, it just when you're not doing anything with a safety net, and when you don't care, right? And you just whatever's inside you, you're allowing to come through. You have the ability to do something that is revolutionary, and that changes the perception or the way people consume art, and that's what System's done very well
Do you
in our limited experience of making records.
do you ever feel insecure about the process?
Insecure? No, insecurity isn't my thing.
Have you ever
I didn't
felt
spend 10 years playing for 4 hours a day to then be insecure when I played on a record.
Do you recall a time that you were ever insecure about anything? Not even just music, but just like
Oh, outside of music, I'm
Yeah.
insecure about a lot of things. Well, maybe not. Okay, I'm not a great writer yet. I think I have the potential to be. But I feel like I lay the groundwork for great writing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, like my comic books, for example, I know the limitations of my writing. But what I'm laying down is a world, right? And characters. And there's a depth to the characters, and there's a depth to the story, and everything has to make sense for me. Even when I'm writing fantasy, it has to be logical in the world that we're living in, right? It's kind of like where Game of Thrones lost its way, is they had this mythical world, but it had rules that governed it, and they just stopped adhering to those rules. There's rules in my worlds that I've created, and everything happens within those rules. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But because I know that I'm not that talented a writer, or maybe I never will be, what I'm doing is so that when it eventually becomes a TV series or a movie or something like that, and I get somebody that's exceptional, I've laid out the groundwork for them. And then I can help them with their amazing talent to make my world come to life properly. That's what I'm trying to do with it. So maybe I'm a little insecure in that I know but I don't know if that's insecurity. That's just being aware of your failings, and knowing that you have weaknesses, but knowing that you have strengths and exploiting the strengths. So I wouldn't say it's insecurity. I'm not insecure. I'm not the best looking guy in the world. I'm not tall, right? I got belly fat, but I think that I'm a great catch. You know what I mean? And it's because I'm a good-hearted person. And when you know that about yourself, yeah, nobody's perfect, right? I have no lips, I have very little lips, kind of like Pac-Man, But, I mean, you obviously have a wealth of lips yourself, so you never had that problem. But everybody's got something. Why be insecure about it? Your imperfections are what make you beautiful and unique. So, I don't know.
Do you feel like you came to this conclusion at a mature age, or did you always feel that way, even when you were 15 and 25?
Depends on what we're talking about. If it's drumming, I always know I had something special. I was never insecure about my drumming. Never have been. Again, not the most technical drummer. I'm not the best drummer in the world, whatever you want to call it. But I would say that there is no drummer that would have been better suited for System of a Down than me. And if I played with, I'm not going to say who the band is, but there's several bands out there right now, and if I was their drummer, they'd be better. I would make them better. And now I'm not insecure about my drumming in any way.
Yeah.
So that might come off as egotistical to some people, but I don't really care because their opinion of me doesn't matter to me either.
No, I think it's the mindset that's interesting. The mindset of successful people and how they achieve their goals.
Don't care about what other people think.
But you always just innately had that in you? Or was there a
Maybe, I
time
don't
that
know.
you cared about what people thought?
Oh, I cared a lot more about what people thought before. I maybe that's what you mean by insecure. I'm trying to grasp the concept of insecurity.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all of these things, when you talk about confidence or insecurity, people like to kind of generalize these terms, but
Well, I was
really,
very shy.
yeah.
you know, um, and I never wanted to hurt people's feelings,
Mm-hmm.
so I would make up little white lies, you know, but now I feel like it's worse if you don't tell someone the truth, you know, so they hear it from somewhere. I'll tell you a story, okay? I probably shouldn't tell the story, but whatever. You know the band.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, super nice people. I like a lot of their music, right? Um, the invited us. He's a singer. He invited us to the studio to hear a new record. Me and Shavo. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be a record release party. So I was expecting this big party. I was like, Shav, let's go. You know, let's go hear this record. I really shouldn't tell this story, but anyway. So we go and it's like 10 people, right? I'm like, oh shit. Shavo's now mad at me because I told him it was going to be this big party. So we go, we sit down. It's in a like a small studio, maybe twice the size of this room. There's a big couch, right? And I'm all the way in the corner, and Shavo's sitting next to me. And there's like 7 or 8 other musicians that you would know who they are that were there. And they played us the entire record, right? Which was unexpected, you know. It kind of puts you on the spot. And I listened to it objectively, you know, and you know, I felt like it wasn't their greatest work. But I felt like the potential was there with some minor changes to make it really exceptional. Now, one can say, who am I to make those critiques, right? And they'd be right. Because if they were satisfied by that, then that's all you have to say, you know? Now, at the end of this, everybody was like, oh my God, amazing. Shavo at some point made an excuse of going outside to go to the bathroom and never came back, you know? And then he came back for this part, you know? So we're sitting there, and the singer of, you know, I guess I could have told the story without saying, could you cut the word out
Okay.
and the and all that?
Okay.
Okay, just bleep it.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to insult anyone.
Yeah.
So the singer, who had been standing like, I'm sitting here, and the singer was standing like right here with his foot against the wall, and there were this table of candles with a drape behind it. So Shavo and I are looking at this table. At any moment, the wall could catch fire because of the candles. And Shavo's texting me, he's like, maybe we'll get lucky and the wall catch fire so we could get out of here, you know? Because we were embarrassed. And we were texting back and forth. And like I said, there were some of these songs were really good. It's just like little thing would have made it so much better, right? So all these people are like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's the best, you know? And I knew it wasn't their best. I know it's not. And I know that these people know that it's not their best. They're just doing what most people would do. Being nice so they can get the hell out of there and go about their lives. So the singer looks up at me and notices I haven't said a word. And goes, John, you've been awful quiet. What do you think? Now, the whole 10 or so people look at me, including Shavo. And I know what's going through Shavo's mind because I am usually very honest with people when they ask me my opinion. And I know that in Shavo's head, you should ask him this. He was like, John, shut the fuck up. I know he was saying that to himself. Right? I said, well, do you really want my honest opinion? Now the air got sucked out of the room, right? And he goes, yes, I'd like that. And I go, I don't think you should release this record. And he goes, okay. And then I explained to him song by song, because I was really listening to it, because that's what I thought he wanted me to do. And I gave him an honest opinion, and he goes, well, you know, it's been mastered already. And you know that's the last process before it's released. And he also spent like 20 minutes telling me how he thought like this song was going to be at every high school graduation and all these things. None of these things came to pass, by the way. And I was like, well, I really feel like, number one, you need some arrangement changes here that would make the songs much better. And number two, I would like to hear more minors, because there was a lot of major chords and they're kind of happy-go-lucky. But if you really want to hit people deep in the soul, you need the minors, the minor chords. So I made these suggestions, and he was like, okay, well. And at this point, the band's guitar player left the room. And he's like, well, it's a band, and we got to make everybody happy. And I was like, hey, look, man, I'm not trying to offend you. I want what's best for you. I want you to make as good an album as you can, and I want you to be as successful as you can, and that's my opinion. Mm-hmm. I haven't spoken to the guy since.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
So he didn't appreciate the honesty?
Didn't seem like he did, no.
Were you nice about it, or were you mean about it?
I was as cavalier as I was right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then wasn't that the whole point of inviting musician friends for honest feedback?
Apparently not. I think the point of having us there was to kind of show off their new album. It would be like, in hindsight, I guess it would be like you bought a new car. You're like, John, come look at my new car. And then this is after you've purchased it, right? And then I come look at the new car and I tell you why it's got a bad crash test. And like, okay, the engine's going to be shit in 3 years. And I bring out all the negatives about it. And it kind of deflates your purchase of that car, right? I don't know how else I could have done it, though, because if you ask my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. Better not to ask my opinion.
I think maybe it's a cancer thing, too, that I think we both innately have something that we just can't bullshit. Like, it just makes us feel gross to lie about stuff in that way. But honesty is not perceived well with the best intentions. It just isn't. Like, people get offended, even if they say they want
Nobody really wants your honest opinion.
Nobody really wants your honest opinion. I do too.
Yeah, I really want your honest opinion.
I do too, yeah.
And you know why? Because I look at that as like, okay, you're helping me improve.
Exactly.
And by the way, I don't have to think your opinion means anything, and it doesn't have to validate. I didn't validate anything for them. Clearly, they released the album as it was.
Yeah.
And by the way, it went nowhere,
A huge thanks to Torpedo Comics and Essentia Beauty Spa for helping to make this podcast possible. You've probably seen Torpedo Comics in your local malls, but you can also visit them online at torpedocomics.com for an amazing selection of comics and collectibles. As for Essentia Beauty Spa, their beauty experts are truly unparalleled. I trust Diana, the founder, with all of my hair needs. She's simply the best. For more information, visit essentiabeautyspa.com. I actually saw that our last interview was featured on Drumeo, like a little clip of it, and then your fan sites always pick up like clips from our interviews.
It's not just our fan sites. There's a couple of asshole sites too that will look for anything negative that they can make into a big deal.
No way.
Yeah.
Just to try to get trash talking?
Well, that's how they get people to look at their shit.
Like the TMZs of rock music, or?
TMZ has actually been quite nice to us.
Have you been featured?
I think TMZ? Once.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a TMZ of, again, probably something I shouldn't talk about, but I accidentally got naked on our balcony in South America.
What?
Now, all right, look. We're on the fourth floor.
Accidentally?
Yes. We're facing the ocean. And there's like a TMZ equivalent in Brazil. And they had a reporter out. It was 6 a.m. I get up really early. And Diana was with me, and she was very sick.
Oh.
So now, right when I get up in the morning, I listen to like talk radio and, some sports commentary, because I enjoy the commentary of people that know about something. I'd rather listen to the commentary than to watch the sports, So I do that every morning. And I went out we had like a large balcony off our room. Diana was very sick. So, and she's also like, that'll wake her up, right? Like that sound. Mm. So I went outside and I was going to listen to my headphones and on the balcony and enjoy like the rising sun and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I had put my shorts, my swim trunks out because they had like a rooftop pool. And I was like, oh, I put them out to dry overnight. I was like, oh, perfect, they're dry. Let me change real quick. I wasn't about to go back inside and all that, kind of forgot. I forgot I'm famous for a second there. And I changed, and I guess they had a photographer,
Oh my God.
and they caught it, right? And it was so unattractive. The pictures of me on there, I look like Gerard Depardieu, the actor. It was not a good look. Too much food down there. I don't know. I wasn't looking good. Actually, sent the guy a note that took the pictures, and I said, look, man, you've inspired me to lose weight. So if anything positive came out of this, and I go, please don't post the naked pictures of me, but, do whatever else you want. But you have inspired me to lose like 20 pounds.
So was it ever published?
I guess. I don't read Portuguese, so.
Oh my God. So how did you know that he took the pictures of you? Like you already saw it on the...
People started sending it to me. I didn't. It was 2 seconds. I just changed into my shorts on the balcony. Nobody could see me. He had a drone.
How is that legal? Seriously.
Probably isn't, but what am I going to do?
Did you think about suing?
Oh, hell no.
No?
No.
Why not?
That's how he makes his living.
Invading someone else's privacy?
I was naked on a balcony.
On a balcony?
I was the one doing something wrong, not him.
No, you weren't. It was your balcony.
I was naked on a balcony. It just didn't occur to me. I was like, oh, real quick, like
Oh my God.
I just didn't think about it.
It feels like in general you have a very balanced and healthy mentality. Is there anything that you feel like you have to constantly work on to improve?
My fucking diet is atrocious. I love really bad foods.
Mm-hmm.
They taste so good. How do you not love them?
I know.
That's my weakness. But outside of that, generally speaking, I don't think there's much I would change about myself. I think I'm a really good person, and I add a lot of value to people's lives, and I like to continue to do that.
Mm-hmm. You have this really perfect balance, I think, between like a lot of people come here and they talk about having imposter syndrome because they compare themselves to people that they aspire to be like or people who influence them. And I've dealt with it. A lot of people deal with it. It's cool that you haven't because you kind of just knew what you bring to the table. You were self-aware and you just work on the things that you can, but it somehow doesn't make you insecure. And I think that's such a great...
You got to know your value. You got to know what you bring to the table. Once you know that.
I think when you're first starting out and you're like, okay, this is what I want to do, but I did it the first time and it sucked. I did it the second time.
It's not that it sucked. It's just that you're learning.
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective.
It's a great perspective.
Yeah. Well, look, it's different in different things, right? Athletics are a young man's game.
Mm-hmm.
But artistry is something that can continue to improve and change and morph your whole life. It's a little bit different. But if I was going to play football, which I loved playing football when I was younger. And I had a little, minor amount of talent in it. If I didn't make that by the time I was like 19 and be in college and have a scholarship and all that, probably was never going to happen. Very rarely do you get like a Kurt Warner, 26 years old, 27 years old, and bam, everything works out. Now, the only reason it did work out for him is because he never quit, right? So it's the same for pretty much any artist. If you never quit, you got a chance. So it's a little different if you're looking at athletics. It's a young person's thing, just because your body doesn't react the same way when you're older. But with any kind of art or business, I mean, look at Hershey. How many times did he fail until he came out with a Hershey bar, which was, propelled him to great success?
I don't know that story.
Oh, he failed in... Same thing with Abraham Lincoln. He did nothing but fail until he became president. So it's hard coming from a place of the success that I have, talking to somebody that's struggling. I've been there.
But have you faced a lot of rejection?
Yeah, I guess. Still do.
How?
Well, I had an agent that said they had. Well, first of all, I was first signed for Essentia to an agency called UTA. And then because of my politics, they were like, look, we really can't work with you. I was like, okay. And they were.
Cancel culture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, you can't expect everyone to be able to stand up and say it's the right thing to do and we're going to do the right thing. If everybody was like that, you would never have had an Armenian genocide. It was only about 1,500 people that committed the Armenian genocide out of a country of what, Turkey was probably 10 million people back then, maybe 20 million people, right? Nazis were a fringe, small organization. But most people will just go with the flow of things. And you can't expect everybody to be brave and put their lives on the line and their careers on the line to protect you. I can do that because I am not reliant on anyone, you know? So it's easier. Maybe it's easier for me. Maybe I wouldn't have done it if I was in their position. I think I would, because I do all kinds of things that are against my best interests because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, they basically fired me or said, look, we just can't work with you. And then I got an agent at William Morris. I don't know. I don't think he was that into it, and he was kind of doing it because System signed to William Morris, which is a wrong reason to work with me. I would rather have him just say, look, I just don't believe in it. And I'd be like, I respect that. If something changes, let me know. You know? But again, they're not used to the honesty, right? Because most people can't handle that.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm the opposite. I'd be like, okay, well, what could I do to make it better? Let me work on that. You know, you're a literary agent. What can I do to make it better? Maybe I'll come back in 3 years and it'll be a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go home and work, you know? But now I'm with these guys at CAA and they're really like amped on my work. They don't seem to care about my politics. And it's also times have changed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the pendulum swung. And most of those people look like idiots now. So, and they certainly look hypocritical, which they are. You know, but we don't want to get too far into that. So because of that, it's opened up, and quite frankly, I am better than I was 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and I'm going to be better still in 2 more years because I'm working very hard on my writing, you know, and I have interesting ideas, I think, and they seem to think so too.
Mm-hmm. We had this little argument on the last interview that we did. You were saying you can't teach someone how to be successful, and I was saying, well, but you can kind of give them the proper tools and kind of teach them
You
that.
can give a monkey a screwdriver. It doesn't mean they can screw in.
That's so true. And it was one of these conversations where, like, now looking back, and it was, you know, like 5 years ago, I was like, yeah, I think I actually agree with him more than I agree with myself in a way. But
here's what it is, though, Sona.
Mm-hmm.
You can advise someone if they're receptive to the advice, but you cannot instill drive into somebody. And that's what I meant by it.
Oh, I agree 1,000%.
I was going to be successful one way or the other.
Yeah. Because
I had the drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was willing to go to work at 3 a.m. at Pepsi Cola and work until 5 p.m. and go in my Pepsi uniform to sound check and play a show that night in front of 8 people and then go to work again the next morning. And I would do that until I got into a band and still practiced and did. I was in a band and we practiced 7 days a week and we didn't have a singer for 2 years. 2 years.
Wow. Where do you think that drive comes from?
It's you either have it or you don't.
Do you think you're born with it?
You're absolutely born with it.
Huh.
Cannot be taught. It cannot be handed down generationally. You either have it or you don't.
When you remember yourself, like the most distant memory that you have as a kid and being driven to want to accomplish something, do you remember what that first desire was?
No.
No.
I wanted to play drums, but I was told no every year.
By your parents?
Yeah.
They didn't want you to pay.
They didn't want me to play drums.
Yeah. And then so how did you finally pick it up? Was
Because
it
I
at a
didn't
later
stop
age?
asking.
Yeah. So the persistence was there and the stubbornness was there from the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually totally agree with you. I don't think that you can instill drive in people. You either have it or you don't. But I do think that a part of what this podcast does is by sharing all of the different stories of some of the most successful people that we know, the insecurities they had, the imposter syndrome, how they actually overcame it. I think when people realize that, okay, these people went through the same difficult challenges that I'm facing now, I think maybe it just is kind of a nice reminder to keep going or
I
to
can give you an
understand.
anecdote.
Okay.
So these words, almost all of this interview is going to just be entertainment for somebody, maybe a little insight for somebody that's interested in the way I think, how I formed some of the things that I did, and all that stuff, right? It's insight, and it's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. A small percentage of the people that listen to this who are struggling to achieve something, there's a voice in the back of their head that says they're going to fail. Right? And what I'm doing is I'm pushing that voice just a little bit further back and telling them, even if you fail, right? If you never stop pursuing it, you can never fail. It's only when you stop that you failed. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And if you never stop pursuing it, maybe you'll succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not on what you thought you were going to succeed. Maybe it leads to something else, but you have a chance.
Yeah. I think it makes people feel a little less alone and it gives a little sense of mentorship.
Lemmy from Motorhead was on MTV. I've said this many times in interviews. And I was watching MTV and I was like struggling, to pay bills and do all those things that most musicians do. And I was also getting a little long in the tooth because most of my heroes were signed by like 17, 18 years old. Here I am in my 20s, And he said, well, somebody's got to make it. And I was like, you're fucking damn right somebody's got to make it. And he goes, and I was like, yeah, that sums it up perfectly. Somebody's got to make it. That somebody might as well be me. Now, there was no System of a Down at that time. I was in a band and we weren't very good. And I probably wasn't very good. But I got better and I kept working at it. And look, the fact that you're here and I'm here is a testament that out of millions of sperm, right, we won. We got the egg.
You're already a winner to
You're
start
already
with.
a winner.
In a way.
You started out winning.
Yeah.
You just lost track of that winning at a certain point, or you got lazy. Or you were like, you know what, if I don't put everything into it and I fail, I always have an excuse. Whereas I always say, I never left myself a safety net.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Your support helps this channel grow, allowing us to bring you even more engaging and high-quality content. You can also follow us across all social media platforms.